Hot and humid, Singapore sets the stage for the Super League Triathlon Championship finale, where the beautiful island of Sentosa provided a breathtaking backdrop to a full weekend of action. As the fourth and final stop, the best triathletes in the world converged to compete for one final time this series, to lay their claim for the newest and most sought-after trophy in a brand new form of elite sport.
The Super League Triathlon Championship Series is setting a new standard for professional triathletes, ripping up the triathlon rulebook and creating an unparalleled challenge which rewards versatile and robust all-rounders. Gone is the standard swim, cycle, run, and instead 5 unique new formats, condensed, unpredictable and challenging, each pushing athletes to the edge and testing a different aspect of their core skills. 2 different formats are contested at every round, so athletes need to race hard, think smart, and constantly fight for the win to score valuable points at each race weekend. Only those who perform consistently stand the chance of being named the overall champion and taking home a slice of the largest prize pool ever seen in a triathlon series.
As athletes arrived from all over the world, stakes were high, emotions at fever pitch, and with double points up for grabs in this final racing weekend, not even the season leaders could relax. First up was the women's competition. Impressive performances to date provided a real battle for the top 5 in the women's championship, but one athlete had been dominating proceedings almost from the start. Here's how the championship race shaped up in the lead-up to the grand finale in Singapore.
Day 1 in Jersey tested the women's core skills in the triple mix, a format which mixes up the order of the swim, bike, run disciplines over 3 stages. French athlete Cassandra Beaugrand was on top form throughout, taking the lead at the end of every stage ahead of the USA's Katie Zafiris in second. Day 2 saw athletes face the most brutal of the formats, the enduro, featuring 3 non-stop bursts of swim, bike, run without a break. Katie Zafiris was not settling for second this time as she cruised to the win and consequently the Jersey Championship title. Day 1 of the second event in Malta used the innovative eliminator. 3 rounds of swim, bike, run separated by short breaks. Here, Zafiris was again on form, dominating all 3 rounds. She was joined by country women Summer Rappaport and Kirsten Casper on the second day as the US women showed their pedigree in the equaliser format, a double swim, bike, run triathlon with no break. The lead changed throughout, but Zafiris broke away in the final hill climb to secure another top spot on the podium. The Spanish island of Majorca set the scene for round 3, where the world-class field once again took on the triple mix. America's Taylor Spivey won the opening stage, but was unable to hold off the charge from championship leader Zafiris, who was back in front in the following 2 stages to top an all-American podium at the end of day 1. A super sprint double triathlon was awaiting them on day 2 in the form of the sprint enduro, where series leader Zafiris tripped and fell behind, leaving the race for first between fellow Americans Casper and Spivey. Spivey used her tactical short shoot to take the lead just before the final sprint, pushing Casper to second, while Zafiris rebounded to third, which means she still tops the overall table as we head to the 4th round of racing in Singapore.
I think coming in as the leader for the championship just really puts a target on your back, and I don't really doubt that people want to beat me. It's something I know, but I also know what I'm capable of, and I know I can't really focus on them, but can only put together the best race that I have, and my results also give me confidence as much as they make me someone to come after.
I feel pretty good about finishing on the podium in the series, even though I'm missing some points from Jersey. I'm only a few points off of the 3rd spot right now, and with the 2nd place athlete Kirsten not racing this race, I think it can be anyone's game, and I'll race the same no matter what. But I think over the last few years, I've really worked my way up in triathlon, and I always feel like I'm the underdog and underestimated as an athlete. So taking the tape would, mean a lot to me, and it would prove that my hard work has paid off.
Double points hasn't changed anything for me. I know if you do well, you get a big advantage. If you don't, then the gaps will probably get bigger. But I haven't really looked at it. I always try to do my best. If that's a 5th place, that's 5th. If that's a 1st, it's a 1st. And if that's a last, it's a last. As long as I did my best, then that's all I can do.
If I were to win, it would make me feel like I'm headed in the right direction of the triathlete I want to be. These races are so testing, and they really make you have to have all the little things right, as well as the big swim, bike, run components. And if I'm winning, it's reflecting that all the work that I'm doing is good.
Day 1 of competition saw the introduction of a new jersey for fastest through transition. This joins the other Super League triathlon colors, which are awarded based on timings at the previous round. The championship course in Singapore was staged to a 300-meter swim, followed by a bike of 5 laps of the 900-meter track, with the run played out over a further 2 laps of the dry circuit. Here, triathletes would need to dig deep as they faced the 3 grueling stages of the eliminator.
The eliminator, the most ruthless triathlon format ever devised. A 3-stage tactical nightmare rewarding fierce racing and strategic brilliance. Pace your efforts, conserve energy, and avoid elimination. No room for positioning error, no room for weaknesses, no room for anything. Stage 1, mass start, swim, bike, run. Easy. A win here, though, won't help you, but finish outside the top 15, that's your day over. For the rest, there is no rest. A 10-minute break and we go again. Mass start, swim, bike, run. Finish top 10 and progress. The other 5 join their fallen rivals on the sideline. 10 minutes, recover, reset. It's time to go into battle for the last time. How much have you got left? Because someone will cross the line a winner. The eliminator, it's time.
One athlete was out to make her mark right from the gun. First off the pontoon and taking a commanding lead in the opening swim was France's Cassandra Beaugrand. Although she was first out of the water and into transition, she was soon overtaken by Australia's Emma Jeffcoat, who went on to dominate the field, maintaining the lead to take the Stage 1 win ahead of the Frenchwoman. Championship leader Katie Zafiris finished well within qualifying in 5th place. Taylor Spivey crossed the line in tears after an accident on the bike leg, but still safely within the top 15.
On the first lap of the bike, I couldn't see one of the barriers, and I leaned into it and I crashed, and my shoulder really hurts right now.
Only 10 short minutes later, the top 15 were back on the pontoon for Stage 2. Again, Beaugrand laid down the marker during the swim, leading the field out of the water. Zafiris briefly took the lead on the bike, but a large group formed containing most of the front runners.
And here are all of our women's leaders. Summer Rappaport now at the back of that pack, and Taylor Spivey knows she needs to tack herself on with these 2 Australians coming hard from the back of the pack.
Stage 2 results came down to the run, with Beaugrand and Rachel Clammer eventually taking the finishing tape together, hand in hand, as they crossed the line. Again, Zafiris finished in 5th place, but the only important factor here was to make the top 10 and avoid elimination.
Stage 3 is basically a final. This splits the race results now, what happens in the next stage, so all bets are off.
They are your top 10. Those times now mean nothing. They all line up for a swim, bike, run, sprint final.
With the pressure building and fatigue setting in, Stage 3 of the eliminator got underway. For a 3rd and final time, Beaugrand was first out of the swim. Trying to force the pace and break her rivals, she was first into transition and first out on the bike. But Zafiris was hot on her heels and charged into the lead on the first lap, widening the gap between the lead group and the others.
The race seems to revolve mentally for the other athletes about where Katie is, and another athlete at some point is going to have to get out there and attack if they want to take this one from Zafiris. Will it be Beaugrand? Will it be Jeffcoat? Leonie Perriot has found herself in the best position she's been in across the course of Super League Triathlon. Yeah. But Gentle, Klammer, Lindemann, Spivey and Rappaport, 2 of our 3 championship hopefuls, are in that second group in the green, and there in the American flag, Spivey is currently sitting 9th.
The top 5 went into the final transition together. This was going to come down to the run.
Good transition from Zafiris. Out she goes, behind her, Bo Graham, but someone in between them as well. And there is Summer Rappaport, who
9th out. Summer Rappaport has been very tardy in transition.
Doesn't have the best transitions.
She's got a big run, but leaves herself a lot of work to do.
Beaugrand forced the pace and tried to break away, but there was no losing Zafiris as the 2 rivals battled for the front spot right through the final lap.
It's all down now to Katie Zafiris, who looks like she is going to take the win as she did last time in the eliminator. She's done it in a different way. Last time we had the eliminator, she won every stage. This time she's measured her efforts, waited to see, probe for weaknesses, and then when the time came, she has done the job, and Katie Zafiris continues on her winning ways and wins the women's eliminator, and that is a huge moment in terms of the championship. Cassandra Beaugrand finishes 2nd. Congratulations to her. And what a finish from Ashley Gentle to finish ahead of Leonie Perriot, who's been so consistent.
As per usual, I built throughout the rounds. It was a little intentional and a little just it got me a bit to get going, but it was nice knowing all I had to do was count down, make the top 15, make the top 10, and then go for it in the end.
Another first place for Katie Zafiris proved her dominance in the women's competition, with only 1 day of racing left. But before that, it was the men's turn to face the eliminator, and their dramatic race is coming up straight after the break. Welcome back to the Super League Triathlon season finale in Singapore. Before the break, the USA's Katie Zafiris proved untouchable in yet another format as she aced the eliminator to take another top spot on the podium. She might have been the standout talent throughout the women's competition, but things were much tighter at the top of the men's leaderboard. This is how things shaped up over the season so far.
Athletes arrived at the first round in Jersey in peak condition, setting up an unpredictable triple mix on the first day of competition. After South Africa's Henry Schoeman took the first stage win in the triple mix, France's Vincent Lewis showed he was the one to watch at the end of day 1. The Frenchman went on to take his second win in the enduro after a close battle for the top spot with Schoeman and fellow South African Richard Murray. At round 2 in Malta, it was Murray's turn to make his mark on the eliminator, conserving his energy until the final run when he broke away from Lewis and Schoeman to take his first win of the season. In the equaliser, Schoeman was back in front, starting the final round with an 11-second head start, but Lewis was determined to reclaim his top spot on the podium. He squeezed the gap over the course of the race and finally broke clear on the last climb, crossing the line first and leaping back to the top of the overall leaderboard. The triple mix in Mallorca saw Schoeman begin the final stage with another head start, this time 14 seconds. He extended that lead for a comfortable win as championship leader Lewis recovered from a disastrous start to take second. And in the next day's sprint enduro, again it was Lewis and Schoeman battling for the front in a pack of 4, which also included Jonathan Brownlee. But holding back his short shoot advantage until the dying moments, Lewis claimed back his top spot, jumping back into the lead just before the final straight. So the Frenchman now sits comfortably at the top of the championship leaderboard, heading into the final event of the season.
You know, I always saying I love short racing. I grew up with the French Grand Prix, short race. I do love adrenaline. I was really confident even when I heard about the double points. I mean, I won already 3 races on 4. There is no reason I'm not gonna win the 4th one. I have a lot of respect for everyone, all the athletes, but I'm really not scared.
There's a lot of hype around the final, but just before I took my plane here to Singapore, my dad, Joe, also my coach, he told me, you know, it's just another race. Yes, there are double points, but you want to have the best race that you can, and a finale doesn't really change that. You're going to give the best anyway, so whatever happens, happens, and I'm going to lay everything out there this weekend.
Going into third for this one, you know, it's still good for me. We're going into the last race of the year, and I picked up a bit of an ankle injury a couple of weeks back, so I've only been running about 10 days now, and so the running form is definitely not where it should be. You know, hopefully I can go out there and obviously put on a good performance, or the best performance I can do over the weekend.
The lesson I really learned from Super League is that nothing is done until the finish line is crossed. So yeah, just stay focused, because like a bad decision can make you losing the race.
Vincent, he's an amazing athlete, but I'm hoping that, you know, things are different here with the climate. Maybe he struggles a little bit more, but I really hope that I can come into my own and really have the race that I've been wanting. I've got the best chance to beat him, so I'm going to give it everything I've got, and hopefully that I can win.
For me, winning the World Series would be like a great accomplishment. If you can win Super League, you're racing against the best of the world, so you can basically win whatever race you're gonna race.
One man who currently sits outside the top 3 is former world champion and double Olympic medalist Johnny Brownlee. He'll be doing everything he can to top the podium in Singapore and challenge for the overall championship.
I'm really looking forward to racing the weekend in Singapore. I finally got some good, consistent training in, and I'm feeling fit and ready to race. My aim is to get that third place on the podium. First and second is going to be very, very hard to achieve, but if I can get third, that'd be amazing. Vincent is an incredible athlete, and he's very, very good at this format. I think the way to beat him would be to make him hurt early on Sunday. I'm taking him into the more enduro format, where maybe he's not as strong, but he's very hard to beat, and I'll try my best, and hopefully with a bit of decent training and some good form, I can be a bit closer to him this time.
Just like the women before them, the men faced 3 stages of swim, bike, run with a 10-minute break in between. Exact placings don't come into play until stage 3. The important thing in this format is to avoid elimination, with only the top 15 progressing from stage 1, and then only the top 10 progressing from stage 2. As the athletes hit the water for stage 1, racing was intense from the start. Although there was no clear leader in the water, Russia's Igor Polyansky led into transition, with the rest of the pack following tightly behind. But on the first lap of the bike, disaster struck, first for the Schofields, and then the series leader.
He's gone from first position, Vincent Lewis, all the way down. So is he having trouble with his gearing? I'm not sure what's happened.
Something's
Heaven
happened.
forbid it's not a flat, because that'll throw things wide open, because Henry Schumann is sitting there. Something's happening to Vincent Lewis. So his partner Taylor Spivey came off on the bike early on in stage 1 in the women's race, and now in the men's race, Vincent Lewis, our championship leader, has dropped right down the order.
This is danger. Does he ride this flat tyre and run himself in? Does he ride the... I think he has a lap to go.
He's looking around. He's looking at options. He's going to stop. Is he? No, he's talking.
He's got a flat. It's definitely a flat tyre. He's going to ride a flat.
Flat at the back.
You can see
he's just going to keep going.
That is unbelievable. This throws things right up. Henry Schumann right now must be frothing.
As the rest of the field set off for the run, Lewis was still struggling off the back, and with a lot of ground to make up on foot.
It has to be close to 30 seconds, which is, it's near impossible, but if anybody can do it, Vincent Louis can. He has been the biggest runner in the field and over the series. He's a remarkable talent. He's got more to lose than anyone else on screen here, and he needs to get to that group.
As Jonas Schomburg took the tape, followed by Henry Schumann and Johnny Brownlee, the Frenchman was still desperately trying to work his way into the top 15 to qualify for stage 2.
And that's incredibly unlucky for Vince Lewis, who stuck with it and gave as much as he possibly could. Very, very tough for our championship leader. A bit of bad luck, and it looked like he was going to have perhaps the perfect season.
That meant a devastated Lewis failed to make the top 15 and was immediately eliminated. He would take only 1 point through from the first day's racing, suddenly leaving the championship wide open.
I need to check what happened to my tire. It was a brand new tire.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything, but I will check what happened to my bike before races. In Mallorca, I already had a chain drop. It never happened to me. That's the first flat in 15 years of triathlon.
Wow.
So I will keep an eye on my back next time.
10 minutes of recovery later, and it was time for stage 2, with the athletes, minus the series leader, putting the drama of the last stage out of their minds and focusing on the job in hand. Schoeman was first out of the water, with Ben Canute just behind him into transition. A large group formed on the bike with no one able to break away. But it was Hayden Wild who was first off the bike and out onto the run.
Have a look there on the right of your screen. Leo Berger's not wearing any shoes.
Look at that. Did he lose his shoes? Is that a tactical decision? Interesting.
He's going to be feeling it tonight, there's no doubt about it. I've never seen that before.
Let's hope he hasn't lost his shoes, otherwise there's going to be a conspiracy theory against the French in this race, because we've lost Vincent Louis with a flat tyre in the first one, and the last thing we need to do is see, which I don't think we will, Leo Berger have lost his shoes.
I'll tell you what, both of them have shown incredible grit.
Without question.
Just before the end of the second lap, Richard Murray put in a big push to take the tape and lead the top 10 into the third and final stage.
I was thinking, you know what, $1,000 better than $0,000. So, yeah, I know my ankle was hurting, but I thought, you know, if I go now, I can get $1,000 and, yeah, at least show myself and have some good fun here today.
After triumph in stage 2, stage 3 couldn't have started any worse for the South African. As the gun went off, he stumbled and accidentally fell off the pontoon, picking up a time penalty in the process.
2, 1, off he goes.
As a result, championship contender Henry Schoeman was first into transition and pushed through to the run, hoping to close the points gap at the top of the overall leaderboard. It looked like victory was his for the taking, but it soon became clear that he wasn't the only one determined to prove himself in this race.
Absolutely no idea who's going to win this one.
And Johnny Brownlee can win this championship, and he's running like he knows that.
It's really on at the front now between Johnny Brownlee and Tyler Mislichuk.
As Brownlee sensed a threat beginning to form behind him, he went long and stretched the lead ahead of the Canadian.
It's a big, big win for Jonathan Brownlee, who can sense potentially a championship win.
Wow.
So animated. Johnny Brownlee wins from Tyler Mislichuk, who gave everything.
Hayden Wild has beaten Henry Schoeman.
He has, so that throws things further into disarray. Schoeman can't do the job.
It's been a long time since I've won a race, so it's about time. It feels good. It was hard work. I made it hard for myself early in the rounds by making stupid mistakes, but yeah, and at the end everyone got tired quicker than I did, so I don't think anyone's fresh at the end, but yeah, so happy to win again. It's been a long time.
A dramatic end to racing on day 1, and with double points available on day 2, the championship had been left wide open. Vincent Lewis would need to pull something special out of the bag if he was to rebound and claim the #1 spot. Rejoin Super League Triathlon Singapore after the break. Welcome back to Singapore and Super League Triathlon. As if day 1's eliminator wasn't enough of a challenge, athletes were up early on day 2 to face the final race of the season, and the most brutal. This season's crucial decider was the enduro.
The enduro, designed as the ultimate test of an athlete's physical stamina and their mental grit. Long, brutal, unforgiving and simple. Swim, bike, run, okay, that seems fine, but then do it again, and then do it again. 3 triathlons back to back to back. No room for rest, no room for error. 9 legs, 8 transitions, and a live elimination with 2 athletes cut at the end of each discipline. 16 athletes will fall on the way to the final leg, survive and earn a chance to run to victory. A unique combination of pace and strategy, conservation and aggression. The enduro, prepare for the ultimate test. There is Safiris, number 16, alongside her Cassandra Bogra, who led every swim yesterday. 9 legs, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. At the end, our champion will be crowned, and we are off. A nice start from everyone. Claire Adorna there held up by Zefiris, and there is Bo Grant alongside her, but in the middle, that is Lucy Hall. Very, very important to have a good swim at the start of this. We know how hard it is to come back once you're on the bike course. There's not a lot of room for error out there. There's not a lot of room to pass either.
Surprisingly, Cassandra Beaugrand, we saw this in Jersey. She was magnificent on day one of racing, and it's all what happens in the recovery between these two races. Yesterday it was ridiculously hot. They were destroyed after the event, and the recovery between yesterday and now is critical. And Cassandra, we saw this in Jersey, was just not as good on the Sunday's racing as she was on the Saturday.
Spoke to Danielle DiFrancesco at breakfast this morning. There she is in the middle of those 3 leaders, the Australian. She's renowned for her swim. She knows she needs to have a very good swim. She, as I say, is racing for a contract, a top 10 spot. There's athletes like Yuko Takahashi, Charlotte McShane, Ashley Gentle, Emma Jeffcoat, and DiFrancesco, all aiming for a contract for next season if they can finish in the top 10. If they don't, and all the other athletes, if they want to race in season 2019-20, will have to go to one of 3 qualifying events, which are filled, at least the one in Bali, which is next month, with quality athletes who know that they want to be a part of this series as well. 2 eliminated at the end of the swim, 2 at the bike, 2 at the run. That happens every single discipline, as we say. Jeffcoat out of the water, DiFrancesco as well. There is Klammer, there is Yuko Takahashi.
Taylor
Spivey's out of the water too. She's safe, Zefiris is safe. Who's going to come out last? Of course, it's when we cross the timing mat, which is at the top of this ramp. Who's at the back there? Is it Erin Story and potentially Elena Danilova?
Gone. Once they see the yellow flag, they're eliminated. They're either fallen 90 seconds back, or they will be eliminated for being the last 2 on course.
Well, that hurts. There. That hurts indeed. A 300-metre swim, and that's the day done. Right now, it's your bike split leader, Rachel Klammer, who is in a match race, we keep saying that, with Taylor Spivey.
She was sitting in third, Taylor Spivey, there, number 4 on a helmet.
So those two will be watching each other very closely, because the winner essentially will take second place in the series and $50,000 and third place 25. So there's 25,000 reasons to beat your opponent in that one.
See a lot of the athletes with their swim goggles already down the top of their racing suits. That's just to make those transitions a little faster. They know the run's next. It's getting into the water, getting into those positions.
And as they come across the line, we're going to lose 2 athletes.
Last 2 off this bike are eliminated from the race.
I can see the yellow flag just creeping into screen there. Look at him smiling. He enjoys it. He enjoys this.
Eliminated.
Mean. But at the front, it's Rachel Klammer of the Netherlands, been training in Africa with her fiancé, Richard Murray, who we know is going to be strong in the men's race again. So the goggles go on, the caps go on.
This is such a tough format, such a tough format. This is when you start to feel it. The diving in for a swim after a tough run like this is got to be the hardest thing you can possibly do. All the blood's in the legs. You need to move it to the arms to get swimming quickly. Your head's underwater, so if you need air, you've got to get it out and get it. It's so hard. If you haven't done it, go and try it in training. It's very, very difficult.
No, I'll take your word for it. I don't want to try it. Just shows you how Super League has evolved, in that when we started doing this, no one was putting their goggles and cap on as they were running, and then realising that they had to do it all of a sudden.
And we've seen the refinement in transitions. They've just got quicker and quicker and quicker in transitions. And look, Rachel Klammer straight out. What a transition that was.
A lot of these athletes will be in the Olympics next year in Tokyo in similar conditions as well, as they head into the water for the second time. So 1 triathlon done, 2 triathlons to go. Rachel Klammer is our leader. Look for Emma Jeffcoat to have a big swim here as well.
What you start to see in this second swim is where the swimmers come to fruition. It's good technique, good ability to float in the water, and technique matters when you're tired. And it's the learned swimmers, or the runners we used to call them back in my day, the learned swimmers that tend to struggle in this second and third swim. And if you look across the screen now, they're all seasoned swimmers leading this.
Summer Rappaport hops up, Emma Jeffcoat there as well. Klammer and Zefiris ahead of Spivey.
And this is where the racing starts to start in the enduro format. This next bike ride is where the fatigue is starting to settle in. You're thinking, wow, I've done a lot of work. It's getting hot. I've got another swim, bike and run to do, another run after this. This is where it all starts to happen.
All right, 2 athletes eliminated from the swim, 2 athletes eliminated thanks to the 90-second rule, and suddenly we are starting to lose some numbers, but at the front, all is progressing on point for Katie Zafiris, Rachel Klammer and Taylor Spivey, our championship contenders. And they've got a lot of class between them as well. And where they finish in this group, if indeed no one else joins them, will be incredibly important in terms of the championship overall.
Emma Jeffcoat's played a really smart game. She's probably led 50% of this bike course, and Katie Zafiris has just sat off her. These women here need to keep this group as tight together as they possibly can or start to make their moves.
So we are on to the 6th discipline, and the cream of the crop remain here in the women's enduro. 10 athletes left. We have lost 13.
This is the whole purpose of the enduro format. By eliminating at the back, it encourages pace up the front. You have to keep pushing forward. You can't drift back. You have to be tactically aware of where everybody else is. You have to manage your effort to make sure you're able to kick and win the event, but stay out of danger. It's a brutal format, a brutal format.
Well, it's your fault. You made it up. Last time into the water, last of 3 back-to-back triathlons. Unique to Super League, this format, as they all are.
So these 6, this is our Super 6. If they stay together, they cannot be eliminated. You can only lose 2 more. We have to finish with 6, and at the moment, that's Emma Jeffcoat and Ashley Gentle, who'll be the last 2 into the water. They go in now. Summer Rappaport has a beautiful open water swim technique. Massive catch. Very, very swim straight lines. Just nailed that to perfection. If it's 300 metre swim, she swam 300 metres. She didn't go an inch too far, inch further than she had to.
Rappaport,
there.
Zafiris and Spivey, 3 Americans. Leonie Perriot, Rachel Klammer and Cassandra Beaugrand are your Super 6. These 6 will race through to the end. 2 more disciplines to go.
Taylor Spivey looks a little tired, the American on the back, but she's so slight a frame. She just seems to slink through this chicane right here, come straight back onto the group, and get a ride along the whole back section of this bike course, which is exactly the way you want to race this. Save the legs for the big run.
1,800 metre run to come after this. 2 laps around this 900 metre course, and all of the biscuits will be decided.
Cassandra Beaugrand on this run. She's considered, we saw it yesterday, but she's considered in the triathlon world the best runner, the biggest talent in the world of triathlon right now, one of the favourites to win the Tokyo Olympics. She's a superstar. She was outrun yesterday by Katie Zafiris, fair and square, and all day today she's just sat off the back tactically. Whether that's a tactical decision or a fatigue decision, I'm yet to see, but it's going to come down to this next run. If you're thinking of winning this race, you've got to move up. You've got to get a quick transition. You don't want to give seconds away when it matters. Everybody's fatigued, everybody's tired. To make 2 seconds up over 2 kilometres is very, very difficult to do.
But our top 3 championship contenders are 1, 2 and 3 out of transition for the final time. If it stays like this, Katie Zafiris will be our champion. And then I think Taylor Spivey might overtake Rachel Klammer and take the $50,000 if she can stay ahead of Klammer.
Cassandra looks very, very good, very comfortable. She hasn't panicked at all. She sat back all day. We wondered whether that was a fatigue thing or a tactical thing. She hasn't rushed to get back up onto Katie's shoulder. She's eased her way up. Leonie Perriot at the back there.
Speaking of easing their way up, Spivey, who came out so quickly, has now got Rachel Klammer right on her tail. So if she can't keep someone between them, Spivey, presuming she can stay in front, then that's going to change things in terms of the round and the championship, we think.
She had a big glance then at Rachel
Perriot's
Klammer.
now ahead of Spivey. So a move from the French woman, and Klammer's gone past as well. So at the front, it's Zafiris and Beaugrand. Beaugrand not featuring in the championship race, but certainly she's racing for a contract, and you'd think she'd get one of them. Zafiris will likely be your championship winner if she can stay in the top 2.
Taylor Spivey's been dropped by Rachel Klammer. And Leonie Perriot is Rachel Klammer's ticket to distance herself from Taylor Spivey.
So 4 of the top 5 from yesterday's eliminator are our top 4 in the enduro. Zafiris won yesterday from Beaugrand. Ashley Gentle was 3rd. Leonie Perriot 4th. Rachel Klammer 5th. So it's important in terms of round points. Zafiris took 25 yesterday and Beaugrand 21. If in fact it finishes like this, Beaugrand in front, and Zafira second. They'll end equal on points, but Beaugrand will be our round winner by virtue of her Sunday positioning. So it's really down to a foot race to see who wins the round between Cassandra Beaugrand and Katie Zafiris, just as it was yesterday. The two putting absolutely everything in. Clamours Gap Perio for third. She'll pick up second overall in the championship and $50,000 if it stays as it stands. But right now it's a foot race between Beaugrand and Zafiris for the round winner for $20,000. There's absolutely nothing in it. Katie Zafiris and Cassandra Beaugrand, the present and the future of triathlon. Who's going to take it? I think it's going to be Beaugrand.
Beaugrand. She's won the round.
There was a bit of a shoulder and an elbow there as well, but I think Cassandra Beaugrand has won it in a sprint.
So victory in the enduro for Cassandra Beaugrand also gave her the round win, landing her a $20,000 payday. In the Women's Championship Series, there was no disputing the overall winner. Katie Zafiris atop the podium to collect her championship trophy and a check for $100,000. Join us after the break for the climax to the Men's Super League Triathlon Series. Welcome back to Singapore and the finale of the Super League Triathlon Series, where in the men's event, the final race of the season would determine who would lift the coveted trophy. The enduro is a ruthless, fast-paced swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. 3 bursts, no breaks, but 2 live eliminations for the slowest athletes at the end of each discipline. With series leader Vincent Lewis failing to make it through racing yesterday, second-placed Henry Skuman capitalized on the opportunity, and it was all to play for on the last race of the season.
I don't think I have that championship title. There's still a lot that can happen today. We've got Johnny Brownlee, who's doing really well. He won the race yesterday. Vincent, I do feel for him. I think he's going to come out guns blazing today, which is good. It will be highly competitive.
I will race my pure style, angry from the start to the finish, and yeah, I will make my opponents run for their money.
With the overall title up for grabs, this is how the enduro went down.
Water temp, an amazing 29 degrees. 31 in the air, and the enduro, 9 legs, gets underway right now.
It's a clean start.
A slow start, though, from Igor Polyansky, who led the swim out. He's on the left-hand side, but Matt Hauser on the far left has immediately taken some clean water at the front. Vincent Lewis, who knows that he needs to have things turn his way, but also produce one of his best performances if he's to hold off Henry Skuman and Jonathan Brownlee. Skuman, you can see that in the blue there, in about 5th position next to Vincent Lewis, and Skuman will just be glued to Vince Lewis the whole way through, knowing that if they can finish together, then Henry Skuman will likely be our Super League Triathlon champion. Matt Hauser out of the water. Tommy Zafiris second. Igor Polyansky with him as well. Vincent Lewis and Henry Skuman. 2 men will be eliminated. Someone is way off the back at the moment. We'll bring that to you. Dorian Connings, Ben Canute there as well. Jonas Schomburg. There is Johnny Brownlee in the red. Ryan Bailey, Matt Sharp, who had a great effort yesterday.
There's Richard Murray.
Tyler Mislachuk. Richard Murray survives. And already they are out on the bike and the pace is being pushed as they come around the back end of the course. And it's Tommy Zafiris. As we say, he has a great swim, he has an excellent bike, and he needs to push it and gap as many people as he can with the elimination rule in effect. Hauser, Polyansky, Vincent Lewis, Skuman, Dorian Connings, Ben Canute. So a couple of Frenchmen up the front. Johnny Brownlee, who won yesterday, leads Ryan Bailey in the second group.
The groups have come together, and interesting is Tyler Mislachuk, who ultimately closed that gap at the end. We heard him earlier talking to Annie Emerson saying, if you don't see me all race until the last triathlon, I've had a great race. So he saw the desperation in getting across to this group. There's too much firepower up front with big runs. He's looking for an overall round win today. He finished second yesterday. When he goes to the front, Vincent Louis just applies so much power. You see the gaps really start to open up. He sits very, very high on his bike, and there's a crash. Jaden's hit the ground again. Is that
So
Luke or
yet
Jaden?
Another accident for Jaden Schofield just as he moved out of the danger zone. Tommy Zafiris leads us in. Vince Louis has a little bit of trouble racking his bike there. That's going to cost him a little bit of time, and our race director, Michael Thompson, is out there ready to hold out the yellow elimination flag. for the two last in.
Both twins will be eliminated together again.
Together again. And here is a replay, and he's just come in a little bit hot, overcorrected and gone straight over the bars, slid out on the front. And both Luke Schofield and Jaden Schofield come in 1 and 2, and that is their day done.
First time we've got to see Vincent Louis run this weekend. Very controlled early season for him. He's gone away after the last round in Mallorca. He's been working very, very hard with his coach. There's been a big group of them together doing a big winter base.
And Ollie Turner is finding the going tough, the man from Jersey, the pride of Jersey. So in Henry Schuman's mind, do you think he needs to continue to push the pace, string this one out, and force Vince to go with him?
Well, it's a difficult position for Henry Schumann to be in because he knows that Vincent Lewis is going to cover every move he does. If you're Vincent Lewis, you try and keep it together and hope that the natural order of things. You saw Henry Schumann got beaten yesterday. His run doesn't seem to be as good as it was in the other rounds, and hope that 4 or 5 people can sneak in and outkick him. Henry's not renowned for his sprint finish. Vincent knows he can outkick anyone in this field, so keeping the pace as slow as possible, I believe, actually plays into Vincent Lewis's hands.
And Hauser looks much more comfortable today than he did yesterday when it reached this stage.
And he's got a massive swim on him, so he's very, very comfortable in his head right now. He knows no one's going to swim around him. He's going to enter the water first, set the pace, control the tempo. It's the best place to be.
Let's have a look at Johnny Brownlee here. He's just rolled his ankle, which hurts, and he's gone down on his knees and gone into the water. And we're just going to have to keep an eye on that from Jonathan Brownlee, who just went down that step and rolled his ankle, and that could cruel his chances.
He's still swimming there in 5th position. You see him in the red jersey, so he's got 300 metres to deal with that in his head, but he's not going to know any damage till he hits dry land. There's no pace on at the moment. You can see them grouped together like that. I think they're at 80% effort there. Henry Schumann with a beautiful swim technique. Vincent Louis sitting right off his shoulder in the best position to ever swim if you want to get a draft. And on his other side is Matt Hauser.
First out of the water, though, will be Schumann and Lewis, who are just stuck together like glue, a little bit like Spivey and Klammer.
And Johnny Brownlee looks to be okay.
So let's have a
He's
look.
He's moving all right.
Brownlee, Schomburg and Canute, who's always there or thereabouts, the 2 Canadians, Sharp and Sharp, both train together, they're out together. Bergier, Connings, the 2 Frenchmen, Zafiris, Schilling, Murray survives, and Hayden Wild
is out.
Hayden Wild will be showing the flag, Willie. He is a contender as well, and here it is, the flag is given, and that's disappointing for Hayden Wild.
And that throws things up for the overall day for Vincent Louis. He needed Hayden Wild in that mix to move the round around today in order for those points to help him take out Henry Schumann. So that's a big loss.
Johnny Brownlee leads after a win yesterday. Jonas Schomburg, as we said, having a great weekend. And there's the gap back to our trailing 3. 13 left in this race. It's now an odd number with 10 gone from our 23 who started.
Oh, there's a crash.
Someone's down, and it is Matt Hauser. He's had an accident. He gets up quickly, but he's only got 1 lap to get back on. If indeed his bike is all right, he's going to be eliminated, definitely.
He looked to be on song today.
Yeah, disappointing for him, and he's just come out there, and he's actually saved it reasonably well to not hit the barrier there. I'm not sure whether he got touched by somebody else.
Yeah, I think he's clipped the wheel.
And out we go for the second run.
Schomburg with a massive transition.
Jonas Schomburg striding out at the front and pushing the pace ahead of Vincent Louis.
Johnny Brownlee,
Schumann.
Leo Bergier with shoes on.
There's 11 in the field as it stands. Our top 10 will take a contract. There will be more spots on the line at each of 3 qualifying events. Look up all the details on superleaguetriathlon.com if you want to find a way into this field, if you think you can cut the pace. And Richard Murray has stopped. Yeah. He's done for the day. Brownlee was very tentative on that step there and dive in, and that's just cost him a little bit of time as he's got to work to just get back on the feet there of Vincent Lewis, which he will do.
Ben Canute at the back who can swim as well. They're swimming for their life here.
That is our 7. That is everybody in the water. That means there'll be 1 elimination to make 6 at the end of this.
Johnny Brownlee's just got the box seat. He's swimming straight off the back of the 2 best swimmers in the sport. A comfortable sit. He'll get a free ride on this run. He's got to save his legs for a big run. Yeah, that's
so Schomburg doesn't have a swim cap on. He's the man sans swim cap. Looking into the rule book, is that legal?
I'm not sure. I'm assuming so. I think it's Mislachuk. No, it is. It's
Sonberg.
Mislachuk at the back.
And Berger, Canute, and it's going to be Mislachuk. He's sprinting up as fast as he can to try and take Canute, but he's not going to get there. Mislachuk had a great result to second yesterday, but couldn't quite bridge the gap. And it's a game of inches, Super League Triathlon. Of that, there is no doubt. If you're new to watching triathlon, you've got the world number 2 in the pink, Vincent Lewis. You've got the Commonwealth Games gold medalist and Rio bronze medalist in Henry Schoeman of South Africa. And you've got the Rio silver medalist and London bronze medalist in Jonathan Brownlee.
Who's also got a couple of Commonwealth Games golds.
And also he was the 2012 world champion and 2-time world sprint tri champion. There's not many better resumes in sport than these 3 men when it comes to triathlon. And there's the gap between the others. You can see at the top of your screen who are fighting it out for 4th through 6th. At the moment, the only certainty is if Henry Schoeman wins this race, he will be our champion. And they've got 1,800 metres between now and the end of the Super League Triathlon season. I'm already getting ready to stand up out of my seat. I can feel this is going to be an absolute cracker of a finish. Brownlee comes out 3rd from transition. He had a great run yesterday, but he's a couple of seconds back on Vincent Lewis, who knows that potentially the fate of the championship is out of his hands, but the fate of this race certainly is not. And he said he was going to run angry. We'll see how much anger he's got left. And there are the splits, 16 seconds across our 6 that are left.
Johnny Brownlee's going after him.
Why not?
He's got nothing to lose.
And I'd love to see him track down Vincent Lewis and make it a foot race towards the end, but he looks so strong, the Frenchman. Of course, he didn't have much of a race yesterday compared to the other 2, so he's feeling a little bit fresher, and that freshness is showing now as he runs away with it.
I think Johnny's got this in control.
You think so?
He's got control over Henry Schoeman. I don't think he's got Vincent Louis, but I don't think Henry's going to move up in any way. He's still closer than I thought, Henry. He looked to be looking over his shoulder, checking where 4th position was. I'd love to know who that is. Is that Leo Bergier back there, or is it Ben Canute?
Just Vince Louis leaving a couple of bottled waters on the ground, like a couple of shells in Mario Kart, just for the others to run over. 56 minutes, so it's going to take an hour just about for them to get around, which is about the same as what it took the women to do the same thing. Both very quick races. Brownlee and Schoeman now 5 and 8 seconds back, and you can just see how much Lewis has put the hammer down. It was 16 seconds off the bike. 1 lap later, the gap back to Schomburg has doubled to 32 seconds.
Bergier in 4th with Canute 5th.
Bergier continues. It's the 3rd time he's gone out to run. He didn't even want to do it once. He pulled out yesterday, and when they got to the top 10, the 3rd stage of the eliminator, and that look on Ben Canute's face, it looks like he's struggling, but that's a look he has on his face every time he runs.
He's just a warrior.
He's in the red zone all the time.
He constantly is. He's always chasing. He's always pushing.
Well, Vincent Lewis, he was angry about what happened yesterday, and he's taking his anger out on the back end of this run course. It will be Vincent Lewis who gives himself a maximum 25 points. He has to await other results to see where it finishes him in the championship and in the round. But he can do no more than to win this race, and he's done exactly that. Vincent Lewis, a bit of redemption for him after some bad luck yesterday. Congratulations to the Frenchman. He's been so good across the course of this series, and Johnny Brownlee backs up his win yesterday with a very, very good second, and he will win the round. And Henry Schoeman comes in a little bit of pain too. He's really pushed himself hard to finish in 3rd position.
Vincent Lewis in imperious form to take the win ahead of Johnny Brownlee. Schoeman coming in 3rd, but the overall championship went beyond the wire and was ultimately decided by the lower orders, with Leo Berger placed 4th ahead of Ben Canute, handing a surprised and delighted Lewis the 2019 title.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say. Yesterday I was just like, okay, stay focused, just racing, that's what you do the best, and race from the start to finish, and yeah, winning the series is like awesome. But yeah, I was here for winning the race and the championship, so I did both. No, honestly, when I woke up this morning, I really did not expect that. That's crazy.
First and second finishes in Singapore for Great Britain's Johnny Brownlee saw him scoop the $20,000 US event prize as round winner. Vincent Lewis's eventful weekend was completed with a $100,000 champions check, the overall Super League Triathlon men's champion title, and the brand new Super League Triathlon Championship trophy. That wraps up a fantastic 2018-19 season here in Singapore. Check out our website for more great content. And if you fancy your chances against the very best in this sport, get involved. Full details are at superleaguetriathlon.com.
And we are underway, a clean start.
Yeah, come on y'all, it's time to rise up. Get your hands up. We're taking over the game. And if you're looking for change, I suggest you do the same. Come on y'all, it's time to rise up. Get your hands up. We're taking over the game. We're taking over the game. Come on y'all, it's time to rise up. Get your hands up. We're taking over the game. And if you're looking for change, I suggest you do the same. Come on, y'all, it's time to rise up. Get your hands up. We're taking over the game. And if you're looking for change, I suggest you do the same.